Hello from ABA Tech Show 2019 in Chicago, Illinois. I'm Lawrence Coletti.
I'm Bob Ambrogi.
I'm Norino Petro.
And we're on the road with Legal Talk Network. And we're back. We're still here in Chicago at ABA Tech Show. It's been a lot of fun. Day 2 of our coverage. And I have a couple of special guests, both return guests in their own right. One is a special guest. He is the reason we say BYOB at Legal Talk Network is Bob Ambrogi.
Hey, great to be here, Lawrence.
And to your right, we have Norino Petro, who's been on many times before. I love, Norino, every time I see you, I think of this this picture where you're you posted it, so you're losing your mind in front of all these computers. I just laugh my head off every time I see that. So thank you so much for coming by. I know
Great
you guys
to be here.
Now you guys are getting ready to present, right? This one's coming later in the day? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Well, before we get into that, just for the sake of our listeners that don't know you very well, and practically everybody knows Bob, but just in case, Bob, where do you work? What do you do?
Well, I used to be somebody when I used to be part of the Legal Talk Network, but now I'm an alumnus of the Legal Talk Network. I do my own podcast called Law Next. I write a blog called Law Sites where I write about legal technology and trends in the legal profession. And when I'm not doing any of that stuff, I work with LexBlog out of Seattle.
I've watched you and Kevin. It seems like a traveling show at times.
It feels that way sometimes.
All right, how about you, Norino?
I'm the president of the Erickson Group in Rockford, Illinois. I've got a long background in technology. I'm a lawyer, legal technologist, and my goal is to try to pass knowledge along to lawyers so they can leverage it in their practices.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you guys are getting ready to present at a session called, and I'm going to read it here, Strengthen Your Core. Awesome. Add-ins for Microsoft Word and Outlook. So I have an opening question that I think everybody wants to know about the recent updates. Is Clippy back?
Well, you're dating yourself. No, Clippy is not back.
Well, so for those that are not familiar, Clippy was that little paperclip guy that used to knock on your screen and drive people crazy. And I don't know what happened to him. I almost want to put out a missing persons report.
No, but I'm blanking. What was product I was just talking about recently? That they were, the way they described it, everybody was like sitting in the audience thinking, boy, this sounds like Clippy is coming back. But no, Clippy is not back in Microsoft anyway.
All right, well, so we got add-ins, Word and Outlook. I know a lot of attorneys use those. I certainly did when I was in active practice. Word and Outlook are probably the most common programs I use. So let's get into it. Where do you guys want to start first? You want to start with Word? Do you want to start with Outlook?
You say the word.
Okay, I'll say the word. Let's start with Word.
Well, the thing about add-ins, lawyers have these programs already in their arsenal, most of them, Outlook, Word, but they're always looking for something new to do something, and they've got the basic tools right in front of them, and they can expand the use of those tools by simple add-ins that can leverage the capabilities of Word and Outlook even further. But I think the way we break this down is generally we're looking at 3 major areas for our add-ins. I want to call them plugins as well. Security, productivity, and general purpose. And, we're looking at that, and Bob has some of these. I have some of these. But, Bob, what do you think is one of the most important ones for Word?
We could talk about the individual ones, but I just want to add, really this is, to me, the best part about this add-ins is just efficiency. It just helps you do things quicker and easier and better in Word and Outlook, and the security issue, especially in Outlook, is, make sure you're protecting emails. That's one of the things I talk about, and we'll both be talking about, are some add-ins for Outlook that help you just easily encrypt email. A lot of lawyers should be encrypting email. They don't encrypt email, and add-ins make it really easy to do. So Virtru is one. It's VIRTRU that we're going to be talking about that helps you. It's a plugin that you basically hit a button and you can encrypt an email. So.
And that security theme also goes over to Word because as if we haven't heard it by now, it's been out for years, lawyers have to be worried about things like metadata in their documents, sending information inadvertently like track changes and things like that to the opposing counsel or someone else. So we've got these add-ins that can help with that as well. So security is a very important piece of these programs that we're going to cover. Things like Metadata Assistant and others that will be there. And we've got a whole list of those things, but the security is right at the top of their list. That's how we open.
Yeah. And then there are some major productivity ones. I think one we'll be talking about is Law Toolbox. I think she's been on this. Carol Lynn Grove from that company has been on this on Legal Talk Network at times, I think. But I mean, they really have a whole product, essentially what becomes a productivity suite that works within Outlook that really kind of help you manage a practice. It's about managing deadlines, court deadlines, but it's become so full-featured that it almost becomes a whole matter management application. So.
And, in the same token, too, lawyers, something about law school destroys our ability to be concise, I think, and write well. And another tool that we're going to talk about, and another perennial tech show exhibitor, is WordRake. Which is an absolute wonderful tool to help you clean up your written documents. And it's, once again, a plugin for Word that can leverage your capabilities without having to go out and recreate the wheel.
Right. Yep. I talk about WordRake, and there's a couple another one like that called Perfectit that we also talked about. I mean, they're very different. WordRake is more about style and concision, whereas Perfectit is about making sure everything is grammatically clean and your cites are all correct and all that sort of thing.
Well, excellent. So I think just kind of a basic question, add-ins, and these are different companies designing these for Microsoft Word. And so where do people find the add-ins? I mean, you open up Word and you want to add some additional programs to it. How do you walk somebody through searching for an add-in and implementing it into their Word program?
How do you find them? Is that what you said?
Well, sure, the basic steps. I mean, for someone that's just opening up Word and they use it, but they're not aware of how to do all the add-ins and everything, where do you start?
You can go into the Microsoft App Store, the Office App Store, and search by categories or names or whatever else, and find things that are applicable to what you're doing.
And many of these add-ins also come from companies that have created products that augment things. Let's take example, the Form tool has an add-in for Word that plugs right into your ribbon to help you do document automation and everything. So the App Store is one. Looking for stores. If you're using practice management tools, cloud-based practice management tools, you may very well have add-ins that are adjuncts to those products.
Right.
All right, let's transition to Outlook. So obviously, email manager, very popular with lawyers. I definitely used it a lot when I was in my legal and my consulting day. So what's new and improved in Outlook?
Again, a lot of productivity tools. I mean, I was referring before to some of the security issues, tools in Outlook that help you secure your email, encrypt your email. But for me, some of my favorite Outlook plugins are just the efficiency tools. One I use is SimpliFile. So when you're reading an email, SimpliFile learns your contacts, learns the topics that your file folder structure. So if you want to file away an email, you can very quickly it'll basically know which folder you want to file it into, and you click a button and it files it. And you can also do the same with attachments to emails. It'll help you take off attachments and intelligently file them, so you don't have to think about where should this get filed.
Yeah, SimpliFile is one of the best productivity tools you can get for using Outlook.
Yeah, it's really funny, yeah.
And along those same frames, there are other ones. Bob's talking about security. ShareFile from Citrix goes out, allows you to encrypt your email, encrypt attachments, send large attachments, which is a bane for many lawyers and others. And so that's one of the tools that are out there either. That's probably my number 2 favorite.
Yeah.
Any more?
I forget. What else are we talking about?
I think that there are, when we look at things that can make life easier, as Bob said, the SimpliFile from TechHit and those. Another one that I use quite a bit to capture signature blocks, and I have to retype everything, is Copy to Contact. And that's been an invaluable tool. And one that Bob's got on his list and that I also use is a product called G-Sync-It, which, if you don't have Microsoft Exchange, allows you to sync your Outlook calendar and contacts to your Google calendar and contacts, and it
and
works.
To a number of other calendar and other formats as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. I know you guys got to get on your way, so one last question. If our listeners, they want to reach out, learn more about the fate of Clippy and Word and Outlook, how can they find you?
You can find me at lawsitesblog.com.
And they can find me at NorinoPietro@gmail.com.
Well, it looks like we've reached the end of the road for today's episode. I want to thank our guests for joining us, Norino and Bob. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Lawrence.
We also want to thank our listeners for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, rate, and review us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even better, your favorite podcasting app. We'll see you next time for another episode of On the Road with Legal Talk Network.
If you'd like more information about what you've heard today, please visit LegalTalkNetwork.com. Subscribe via iTunes and RSS. Find us on Twitter and Facebook, or download our free Legal Talk Network app in Google Play and iTunes. The views expressed by the participants of this program are their own and do not represent the views of, nor are they endorsed by, Legal Talk Network, its officers, directors, employees, agents, representatives, shareholders, and subsidiaries. None of the content should be considered legal advice. As always, consult a lawyer.